Okay, so in this video, we are going to talk about the delays that the Long Island Railroad has been going through since the blizzard, showing you some of the list of some of the delays. And I can't really pick on the railroad too much on this because we had a substantial snowfall, while it was not, record breaking, it was enough to cause problems, for trains because it was a foot over, reaching the third rail, and also we had a lot of wind blowing that snow around, so it kept drifting back onto the tracks. And then, in addition to that, we've had all the frigid, weather that we've had, which I'll go over in another video. But in this video, we're going to talk about the Long Island Railroad, and the only thing I'll complain to them about them on with in their regards is their information. Friday night, I was waiting for this train here at the bottom, the 7:23 train. So I get to the train station around a quarter after 7. All right, it says on time, so I go up on the platform. Right, so I don't have to wait because it was frigid out. I didn't want to be waiting out too. Yes, I like the cold. One of my comments says, "Oh, what's your problem?" I do like the cold when I'm moving around, but when I'm standing, waiting for a bus or train, it's kind of hard, especially at night when the sun is not shining. So you can see some of the delays, the other trains that were delayed. But anyway, so 7:15. All right, I get on the platform, and then 7:23 rolls around, and then the sign changes to this. It was held, and then it wound up running 20 minutes late. The thing is, where was it held? It was probably held at Huntington. So if it was held at Huntington, why wasn't the held on the sign when I got to the train station? So it was a little annoying. I got to go downstairs and go back up again later. The signs should be accurate, and they're not always accurate. So yeah, this is a glimpse of what the sign said Friday night, which was, the railroad had problems, and they were running. So I was grateful they were running. There are times when they weren't even running. So I was grateful for that. But the problems, there were problems, delays and cancellations, which is to be expected in such extreme weather. So let's take a look at those. Okay, we are looking at the Long Island Railroad's Twitter, and we got to talk about all the problems the Long Island Railroad has had since the blizzard, and there are ongoing problems. So we're going way back now because there have been problems now for a long time. I'm going to go back to the 5th. I'm going to start from the 5th. Now, after such a big snowstorm, you can expect problems on the railroad. I'm just going to start from the beginning here. You can expect problems on the Long Island Railroad. The problem I had was the lack of information at Hicksville, and the lack of information. Basically, they were not the trains. The train I was waiting for it set on time, and then it wound up getting delayed. So, all right, we're starting January 5th here. We're starting Friday, and we're looking at some of the problems here. You can't expect them. Some people were complaining. Although the service was canceled, whatever, you can't expect them to run completely normally after getting all that snow, all right? And then you couple that with the extreme cold. So you can't expect them to have a normal schedule. They did run. I mean, at least they ran. I'll give them credit for that. At least they ran, and there wasn't complete service suspensions. There was service, it's just that there was delays and cancellations, which is completely understandable given the storm. And you can see I'm showing you some of them now from the 5th here. They canceled some Oyster Bay trains. They canceled some Babylon trains. Pretty much cancellations and delays everywhere. They did actually wind up suspending express service on the Babylon branch for a while. Babylon branch this time has not been immune to the problems due to the weather. For once, it has caught up with them. And somebody made a comment the other day I want to address. They're like, you shouldn't wish bad luck on the people on the Babylon branch. I don't wish bad luck on anyone, but here's the thing. They've been getting off very easy while we've been suffering with service problems. They've been getting off scot-free time and time again. Maybe they have their flyers combined, but that's about it. So, it's only a matter of time before the negligence of Patrick Nowakowski catches up to them as well. So, yeah, they had some cancellations on everybody was having problems, delays, but there was service running. The Babylon branch was hit very hard, though, probably the worst of all the branches. For once, it seems like the luck is changing, the tide is turning against the Babylon branch, and now the Babylon branch. Yeah, I think because They've been getting it off easy all the time while we've been dealing with service suspensions on the main line, like every other week. It's time for them to have some problems because it's time to spread, the suffering more evenly. Why should the main line get all the problems, or the Babylon branch, uh, has no problems? And it's not that we didn't have delays either. We had 30 to 45-minute delays, and all local service on the main line too. So everybody is having problems. And again, this is due to the snow. This is not really. I can't blame Nowakowski on these delays you're looking at here. Uh, I can't blame him on that. So yeah, the Amtrak repairs, they got notices on that. You can see all the problems, and I'm going to scroll through all of these problems here. Um, and then the delays lingered throughout the day, 10 to 15 minutes. Uh, and Looking at this, so see, and this is what they have to look at, these massive snowdrifts that I deal with out in Matatuck there. That's crazy. Trying to because the day after the storm, the Greenport line, that was the only line that wasn't running, but they did have buses in place of it. I mean, there were a lot of problems. There were cancellations, um, but you have to expect that from such a big storm. They were running service on almost all their branches except for the Greenport branch. So, I think that's pretty good to be expected. I mean, I've experienced plenty of blizzards where the trains are completely shut down for the not just. I mean, the railroad ran during the whole blizzard, and the day after, what I mean, they ran too. There were times when we've had blizzards when the railroad didn't run at all, and there was no service, and everybody was stranded. All right, that didn't happen this time. So I'll give them credit where credit is due. All right, so yeah, they're 15-minute to 20-minute delays, pretty much throughout the day here. Um, and then there was a problem on the Babylon branch Friday night. A vehicle on the tracks. I don't know how a vehicle got on the tracks east of the station, but whatever. It screwed up the Babylon branch. I don't know. The Babylon branch's luck is good luck, and is changed now. They are no longer immune from the problems. Now they will experience the problems all of us experience on riding the railroad. West Hempstead branch had some problems. You have to understand there was a lot of blowing snow, a lot of drifting, ice on the third rail kind of problems, and these problems just continue here. And there was switch trouble around Jamaica. So I'm just showing you all the problems that were due to this storm here. It's quite a long list of problems. So you can see here, it's quite a long list of problems. It just goes on and on and on here. I mean, I'll scroll through all the problems so you get to see what's going on here. But it's just the problems linking it into the next day too. There was some delays, and there was also construction on the Ronkonkoma branch. You should see the notice up here. Uh, let's see. Yeah, there's constructions. Yeah, there was construction, and this is going to be going on. Let's see if we can look at this. I'll open this up here. Oh, that's just a schedule. But yeah, there's going to be track work on the Ronkonkoma branch, buses between Hicksville and Ronkonkoma. This was a project for this weekend, as well as, I don't know what gave me that. I'll put back to this, but it's a project for the second track project there. So there will be construction going on. I guess I'll talk about that too in this video, but I'll just show you. Yeah, it says buses replace trains between Ronkonkoma and Hicksville. So yeah, it says it. So yeah, they had construction going on, and then they did wind up canceling some Oyster Bay trains too. But they did have bus service to substitute. Yeah, that lingered. Yeah, the Greenport branch wasn't running, and I don't know if it's still. I don't know if they restored it yet. But yeah, there were a lot of lingering problems. You can see this was a pretty significant winter storm here that caused a lot of delays. And continuing switch troubles. It's the cold, the extreme cold weather, causing a lot of delays because it's extremely cold, and I think what they need is to have those switch heaters that they have at Jamaica. Those, I think that gas or propane or whatever. They need to have them at all, or some type of switch heater, so the switches don't ice up because it's so cold out that this is what happens. So now we're finally in today, going over all the problems here. It was signal trouble in the Atlantic. So yeah, a lot of problems. A lot of problems. And tomorrow is the beginning of the changes on the long-term track work program at Penn. All right, so yeah, today they still didn't have. You could see the drifts they were dealing with on that Rainport branch. You can understand why the service still hasn't been restored yet, but they are running buses in place of it. So good. Hopefully not cheese buses. Hopefully. So yeah, we continue to have problems here. Yeah, and then there was a switch problem in Mineola that caused problems today. So yeah, the problems are continuing here. Hopefully they get them under control because it has been now 1, 2, 3 days since the storm. So they really do need to get these problems under control that are occurring. Lots of switch problems. So I mean, mainline's still getting its fair share problem. Always a switch problem in Mineola. The switches are very old in Mineola. And then we had a broken rail. We'll top it off with this last problem. A broken rail near East New York, so there is no service on the from Atlantic Terminal. So yeah, that's what's going on. Oh, and there are 2 new tweets we can read here. 2 new delays that are up here. Let's see. Babylon train is late, and Far Rockaway train 15 minutes late. Yeah, broken rail near East New York. All right, so there's some trains are I guess they do have some service out of Atlantic, but some trains are being yeah, it says Long Island Railroad should expect delays and cancellation on the Hempstead and Far Rockaway branches due to a broken rail near East New York. So that's what's going on over there. All right, so I'm just going to go over the Long Island Railroad, schedule changes again, starting tomorrow, the 8th, due to Amtrak's Penn Station renewal plan, and only 5% of rush hour trains are being affected compared with 20%. But the problem is, I mean, I think they should have. What I told you before is, I think instead of touching any train on the Huntington branch, they should have combined the 457 and the 50. Was it 503 or 504 trains on the? They have the 2 Babylon trains. The one that's 457 to Merrick, Belmore, Montauk, and the 503 something that goes to Rockville Center, Baldwin, and Freeport. And there's those 2 should have been 1 train. All right, that's ridiculous. And one of these days I'm going to ride that train to prove you how empty it is and what a waste it is. But anyway, these are the I mean, the Babylon branch does have the most changes. But they do have new trains that are getting added. They get extra trains. But they do have the most changes as far as in the morning rush. A lot of their trains are diverted. But they do have 2 extra trains that are being added. The one that departs Freeport at 5:43 a.m. and the extra train to Freeport too. That's going to be running from Hunters Point. So. And they will have 2 cars added. There were cars added to other trains. I mean, I went over this all in another video, so I'm not really going to go over this again. But yeah, I think this is a huge mistake. I think this is the only change I have a problem with, canceling the 506 train, because that carries a lot of people, and they combined it with the 517 train, and which also carries a lot of people, and it's going to result in an overcrowded train. And they should have canceled one of the Babylon trains instead, like I said, either the 457. They should have canceled the 457 and combined it with something. There's no reason. So we'll go over the schedules here. I'll show you the schedules here. Tell you what I'm talking about. So, yeah, you see, let's go to the Babylon branch first, because they're the most important. So we'll start with them. Well, at least they think they are the most important. What it looks like. So you see there, I mean, they still get they still get a lot of their three-stop flyers. None of them are, a lot of them are still running, and none of them, it's not like all their three-stop flyers are gone. There's still a number of them that are running. There's still a lot of them that are running. It's just a select few that were diverted to Atlantic. So the impact for them, even though they have the most trains impacted in the morning, they also have the most service. Let's not forget. Here's the problem I have, and we're going to go up to the PM. This is the problem I have. All right, the problem I have is this right here, 457. I don't know if you can see that. Let's zoom that in a little bit more if you can't. The 457 and the 503. All right, so the 457, 457 train is express, and it's a three-stop flyer that only stops in Merrick, Belmore, and Wantaw. And the 503 train, which is an express also, that only stops at Rockville Center, Baldwin, and Freeport. This should have been combined into one train. All right. The reason is these trains are taking up track space. All right, and the track space, we have less track space because of the renewal work, so that's why the 506 was canceled. However, what I would do, all right, is I would wind up canceling. All right, if the 503 is the one that's taking up the track space, which it probably is, cancel the 503. Combine it with the 457. Have the 457, make all be an express and then stop at Rockville Center, Baldwin, Freeport, Merrick, Belmore, Wantaw. Instead of having these only empty trains here, all right? They're empty trains that are running, all right? So you combine them, all right? Because the problem is these are light ridership route. Why weren't these combined? That's what I don't understand. Why weren't these combined? All right. Meanwhile, when we go ahead and we look at the Huntington branch schedule, Port Jefferson, my mistake. I'm not going to go over every single schedule here. I'm just making this. I'm using this for comparison. So they canceled the 506. All right. All right. They canceled the 506, and what they have done now, it's not like there's a huge gap in service because you can. The 454 goes to Hicksville. All right. So you can take that. That's a local train. But if you're going from, Syosset, if you're going to Syosset, Cold Spring Harbor, and Huntington, look at the gap in service you get. All right, 531. All right, so you get 431, and then after that you have to wait until the 504. You have to connect this as a transfer train that will stop at, I think it's a diesel. It goes from Hunters Point. That goes to Syosset and Cold Spring Harbor. But there's a huge gap in service here. And there's no reason to cancel the 506, which is a heavily patronized train. To cancel a heavily patronized train, yet leave the train on the Babylon branch alone. That just reeks of corruption and special interests. And I really would like to see a reasonable explanation from the railroad on that. Because, let's say, the 506, whatever the time is not good. You can make it 503, all right, if that's the problem. But whatever the case is, the track space should be going to the more crowded train, not some lightly patronized three-stop flyer on the Babylon branch so a bunch of politically connected people who work on financial firms in Wall Street can have an empty seat next to themselves, as I said in the last video, all right? So that's what I wanted to show you the problem here. So, yeah, the Huntington branch is getting screwed. My advice is if you're taking the Huntington branch, you're going to have to try to leave earlier, because this 517 train is going to be jammed. It's going to be jammed. My advice to you, don't take the 517 because that one's going to be jammed. Go over to Hunters Point and get let's see, this train starts at Hunters Point. Yeah, 512. Get over to Hunters Point. Get on this diesel train, all right? It'll stop. The only stops it's going to make is Jamaica, Mineola, then it's express. Doesn't even stop at Hicksville, and then it'll stop at Syosset and Cold Spring Harbor and Huntington. That's what I would do if I were you at those three stations, because this train here, the 517, is going to be jam-packed. All right, so that's what I would do. That's my suggestion. Either that, or you can drive to well, you can't because they have parking restrictions. Remember, the people on the Babylon branch, they don't want to share their line with you. All right, because their noses are way up in the air. All right, so that's the schedule changes. I'm not going to go over every single one of them, but you get the idea what's going on. Okay, so that wraps up this little update here. Please check out my video from Winding River Park in New Jersey, where we braved the unshoveled roads. Yeah, Tom's River did not even plow Winding River Park, so we had to trudge through the snow a bit to get to see some scenery. So please check that out, and thank you for watching.